The Stoics believe that the only true power we have in life is over our own mind. Not other people, not the outcome, not the world's chaos, just our own perception, our choices, our reactions. When it comes to emotional strength, the Stoic view is clear. You are not strong because you don't feel. You are strong because you are not ruled by what you feel. Most people spend their lives chasing approval, avoiding discomfort, and reacting without thought. Stoicism teaches us to rise above that, not by denying emotion, but by disciplining it, by mastering the space between stimulus and response, by remembering, we are not what happens to us, we are how we choose to meet it. This is how the Stoic becomes emotionally unshakable, not because life gets easier, but because they get harder to disturb. Part 1. Understand what emotional strength truly is. Emotional strength, in the eyes of the Stoics, is not about hiding your pain or pretending to be unaffected. That's vanity. That's ego clinging to the illusion of control. True strength is restraint. True strength is clarity. True strength is dominion over the self. Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." Most people believe that emotional power comes from dominating others or suppressing their own pain. But the Stoic knows power lies in refusing to be shaken by externals. When you're insulted, do you erupt? When you're ignored, do you crumble? When you're praised, do you puff up? That's not strength, that's slavery. You are chained to the opinions and actions of others. Emotional strength means you remain steady in the face of praise or criticism, joy or sorrow, attention or silence. It means you've trained your mind to pause before it rushes to judge, to feel fully, but act wisely. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. So, if you want to be emotionally strong, begin here. Discipline your perception. Observe yourself. Watch your reactions like a philosopher. Ask, what part of this is under my control? And then act only from that place. Feelings will arise. That is nature. But to be governed by them, that is a choice. A choice the Stoic refuses to make. Emotional strength is not the absence of feeling. It is the presence of principle in the midst of chaos. Part 2. Respond with reason, not impulse. The Stoics didn't believe emotions were the enemy. They believed unexamined emotions were. Anger, fear, jealousy, even joy, they arise in every human. But to react without pause, to let the first wave of emotion dictate your next move, that's not strength, that's surrender. Emotional strength, to a Stoic, means mastering the gap between impulse and action. It means using reason as your guide, not instinct. It means choosing to respond rather than react. Seneca wrote, "The greatest remedy for anger is delay." And that's the core of this principle. Emotional strength is not the absence of feeling. It is the refusal to be ruled by the first reaction. The person who insults you is not the problem. The event that frustrates you is not the problem. The real question is, what story are you telling yourself about it? Is this an attack or just a moment? Is this worth my energy or can I let it pass? Is my response aligned with virtue or ego? This is how the Stoic protects his peace, not through silence, but through strategy. He doesn't suppress his emotions, he interrogates them. He lets the wave rise, watches it, and then chooses a response that aligns with wisdom, not weakness. You will be provoked. Life will test your patience. But if you can pause just long enough to ask, what would a rational mind do here? You win. Every time. That pause is the birthplace of emotional strength. It's where reaction becomes reflection, where instinct becomes discipline, where you stop being a slave to what you feel and start becoming the kind of person who owns their response. Because that is what the Stoic seeks. Not control over others, but command over the self. Part 3. Untie your worth from praise or rejection. Tio the Stoic. The opinion of others is like the wind. It may blow loud, but it does not move the mountain. Most people, however, live like leaves, tossed around by every compliment, every judgment, every passing glance. Their self-worth is a mirror, constantly shaped by whoever happens to be standing in front of them. But the Stoic sees through that illusion. Epictetus said, if you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. Why? Because the pursuit of virtue requires indifference to the crowd. If your peace depends on applause, you've already lost it. If your confidence rises and falls with approval, you are not free. You are owned. Emotional strength means this: your value is constant, whether the world loves you or leaves you, whether they misunderstand or admire you. Because who you are, your reason, your choices, your virtue, is yours alone. It's easy to feel strong when praised. But true strength is when you are ignored and you remain undisturbed. When you are criticized and you don't flinch. When you are misunderstood and you hold your ground, not with anger, but with calm. Why? Because you know who you are. You know what you serve. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself often. Ambition means tying your well-being to what other people say or do. Sanity means tying it to your own actions. So ask yourself, are you living for virtue or validation? Do you act with integrity because it's right, or because you hope someone will notice? Emotional strength is forged the moment you untie your worth from what others think. When you stop reaching for external proof and return to your internal compass. Not ego, not approval, just discipline, just character. Because to a Stoic, what others say is noise. What you do, that's truth. Asterisk part 4. Set boundaries with clarity and calm. The Stoic is not concerned with being agreeable. He is concerned with being in alignment, with reason, with virtue, with peace. Setting boundaries, then, is not an act of rebellion. It is an act of reason. It is choosing where your attention, time, and energy are best spent, and refusing to allow chaos to pass the gates of your mind. Most people set no boundaries because they fear disapproval. They stretch themselves thin, say yes to what burdens them. Then they wonder why they are exhausted, bitter, anxious. But the Stoic knows, if you do not guard your inner citadel, the world will invade it. Slowly, subtly, relentlessly. To live without boundaries is to abandon your post. Seneca wrote, "No person has the power to have everything they want, but it is in their power not to want what they don't have, and to cheerfully put to good use what they do have." This includes your time, your peace, your attention. These are your resources. You must defend them. So when something disrupts your balance, speak, not from emotion, but from clarity. Say, "This is where I end, and you begin. This I will allow, that I will not. I will treat you with respect, and I expect the same, not as a demand, but as a standard." No anger, no guilt, just calm, because a Stoic does not set boundaries to punish others. He sets them to remain in harmony with himself. And if someone resists your boundary, that is their discomfort, not your disorder. Hold the line with grace. Return to your principles. And remember, you are not responsible for another's reaction, only for the strength with which you uphold your values. Emotional strength, for the Stoic, is not loud. It does not shout, beg, or defend. It simply stands, unmoved, clear, sovereign. Part 5. Self-soothe without escape. The Stoic does not run from pain. He sits with it, studies it, asks what it has come to teach, because to numb emotion is not mastery, it is avoidance. And what you avoid only grows stronger in the dark. Most people soothe themselves through distraction, noise, consumption, pleasure. They reach for anything that will help them not feel what is rising inside. But the Stoic does not fear discomfort. He meets it with presence. He treats it as a training ground for resilience. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. And this you have the power to revoke at any moment." This is the foundation of Stoic self-soothing, not escape, but examination. When the heart races, when the mind spirals, when the soul aches, the Stoic does not abandon himself. He breathes. He listens. He reminds himself, "This is temporary, and I am not this sensation." He speaks gently but firmly to his inner world. This feeling is not fatal. This moment is not eternal. I can endure this and still act in accordance with reason. He may walk, he may write, he may sit in stillness, but he does not indulge the urge to flee from himself, because what we face, we transform, and what we run from controls us. Self-soothing, in the Stoic sense, is about returning to what is constant: your breath, your reason, your will. It's about stepping outside the storm, observing it, and choosing not to become it. You do not need to numb what you feel. You need to name it, understand it, and let it pass through, like clouds across the sky. That is strength. Not suppression, not indulgence, but presence. Part 6. Be honest without harm. Speak like a Stoic. To the Stoic, speech is sacred. Words are not weapons, they are tools. And to use them carelessly, in anger or ego, is to violate reason itself. Most people believe that emotional strength means speaking their mind, telling it like it is, unloading every thought without filter. But the Stoic knows, truth without discipline is destruction, and self-expression without wisdom is just noise. Marcus Aurelius warned, better to trip with the feet than with the tongue, because the damage done by reckless words can linger long after tempers cool. So emotional strength, for the Stoic, is not found in volume, but in measured clarity. This means you say what needs to be said, but only after you've examined your intent. Are you correcting or controlling? Are you being truthful or trying to win? Are you helping the situation or feeding your own agitation? To speak like a Stoic is to be honest, but never hostile. Firm, but not cruel. It's saying, I felt disrespected by what was said, instead of, you're always like this. It's choosing language that clarifies instead of escalates, that reveals your principles, not just your pain. And when emotion rises, as it always does, the Stoic delays, reflects, refines, because silence, in some moments, is strength. And when speech returns, it is precise, grounded, calm. Epictetus said, first learn the meaning of what you say, and then speak. Let this be your rule. So be honest, always, but never at the cost of your own discipline. Because the Stoic's goal is not just to be heard, it is to live with virtue. Even when the conversation is hard, speak less, say more. And when you do, let every word serve clarity, not chaos. That is the speech of the strong. Part 7. Ask for help without losing your power. The Stoic is not a lone wolf. He is not too proud to reach for another hand. He simply chooses strength in connection over pride and isolation. There is a common myth that asking for help is weakness, that self-reliance means never needing anyone. But to the Stoic, this is vanity disguised as virtue. Epictetus said it best. One who seeks wisdom is not ashamed to ask a question, because true strength does not fear vulnerability. It uses it with intention. The Stoic knows his limits. He observes his own inner terrain with brutal honesty. And when the burden grows heavy, he does not collapse in silence. He does not wait to break. He speaks. He seeks, but always with purpose. To ask for help is not to surrender your strength. It is to preserve it. To say, I need guidance, or I cannot carry this alone, is not weakness. It is wisdom in action. It is choosing the long game over the illusion of invincibility. Marcus Aurelius, emperor, philosopher, ruler of an empire, still turned to the writings of those before him for direction, still reminded himself that he was human, still accepted that to seek aid from another does not reduce your power, it refines it, because the Stoic does not build his life on isolation. He builds it on truth. And the truth is, strength is not found in solitude for its own sake, but in the courage to say, even I need support sometimes. So when the moment comes, ask, not with shame, not with panic, but with clarity, with dignity, with the understanding that you are still responsible for your path, but wise enough to accept a steadying hand along the way. That is not dependence. That is disciplined humility, and that is emotional strength in its highest form.